Hello, everyone. Just as a trigger warning here, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Holocaust and everything that entails in this episode.
And welcome back to another episode of the Reading Room Ruffians. This is a podcast for all things library, and that means we do reviews of books, talk of upcoming programs, library stories, guest speakers, and generally things that happen in our library. We are a group of librarians from Jackson County, West Virginia, except for Zach, who is in Seattle, Washington.
Woo!
Today, we are going to discuss some of our staff therapy sessions. I think mostly today we're going to talk about difficult patrons. Before we get into that, though, we are going to discuss Ove the movie, and then we're also going to discuss Mouse. Let's get to it. Carla, Ariel, Zach, everybody's here, and my name is Mallory.
Hey. All right, so talk about Otto first.
Yeah.
A Man Called Otto, which is the Americanized movie of A Man Called
Ove.
I was going to say somebody else pronounce it.
Uva, sorry.
We're all going to say it different today.
Yep.
Because I said Ove.
I would have said so. Okay, so I really enjoyed the movie.
I did too. I thought it followed the story fairly well, considering the amount of stuff that was in the story.
Yeah.
It got the point across, and I really liked it.
There was very few things that I would have changed. I think they should have followed the cat a bit more, personally, but...
The cat was a big character in the book, and yeah. So I didn't actually finish the movie because it frustrated me too much.
I started crying like 20 minutes before the end because I knew what was going to happen.
Oh, I cried periodically all the way through it.
And I was like... And then my husband looked at me after the movie and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, I can't even talk about it." So he just left me be for a while because I just was not okay.
Yeah, but I think it's a good movie to watch.
Definitely,
And,
yeah, it was really good.
But do you want to have tissues with you when you watch it?
Yeah, it does follow the book well enough. Like I know a lot of books to movies they like screw them up, but this one did pretty well.
You should try it, Zach. Give
it some time and then rewatch it.
I don't know. I didn't like some of the stupid little things they changed that they didn't have to. That were, I thought, big character moments for him, at least in the beginning. So first off, it is not the shoddy quality of the rope that causes him to, not be able to do his first thing that he was trying to do. It was him not securing the bolt correctly, which is...
I thought that's what happened in the book.
No, in the book,
because remember,
the
I
rope
said
breaks.
that the first time. I thought
I know,
it was
and
that
I just read the book.
I know. I had forgotten, so maybe they made the movie after they had forgotten what happened. I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely what it was. It's not because they're just bad at mischaracterizing people. It's stupid stuff like that. It's did you actually pay attention to the book? Because this would have not happened if it was.
I guess I didn't pay attention.
Well, it's been a while since you
It has. It's been a long while. It's a couple of years.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that. There's let's see, what else was there? I just thought that some of the main chick, I don't remember what her name is in the movie. I thought she was kind of cartoonish.
Marisol? Isn't that her name?
Yeah, I think so.
They changed her name to Marisol?
I think so.
Something like that.
Huh.
She started out a little bit cartoonish, but she got really serious later on.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I needed to give it more time because, yeah, at the time, I was not impressed.
But she was just trying to get along.
Yeah. Okay, the one character that I didn't like, and I don't think that they did a bad job casting them or anything like that. I just didn't like how he came across in the movie as compared to the book, but that was Jimmy.
I was going to say Jimmy probably was the one.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about him in the movie. I was like, this is just annoying. I mean, he wasn't a bad character or anything like that. I just didn't like how they portrayed him, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that actor a lot.
Yeah, I love the actor, but I didn't like how they portrayed him.
I mean, that's 100% fair. I only saw the first little bit of him, but,
He was pretty consistent like that through the entire movie.
Yeah, he was like that through the entire thing.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
So, but it's worth a watch, especially if you read the book.
Yeah.
I'll give it another go. But I was not impressed the first time I was watching it. Maybe I just needed a little bit more space between when I saw it and...
You needed time to forget it was the rope and not...
I mean, there was a couple other little things. I can't remember what they were, though. Oh, also the fact... Come on. His thing is a Chevy now.
Well, I mean, they Americanized it. Ford and Chevy.
I know,
are the
but
big...
a Chevy?
Hey, it's better
Saabs
than
are
Ford.
known for quality. Chevy is not known for quality. Let's just go with that.
I will say, the only reason I say it's better than a Ford is because Michael had a Ford, and I gave him crap about it all the time. So I have to automatically be like, oh no, it's Chevy.
I think as long as it runs, I don't care what it is.
Yeah, that's my main view on it. But.
Yeah.
All right, well, do we want to talk about Mouse now?
Yeah, real quickly. I took Zach's advice and read Mouse.
And then I read it after you.
Yeah, I had to read, but in fairness and total disclosure, I had to read a graphic novel for a class I'm taking. And that was a graphic
So you
novel.
cheated is what you're saying.
Well, no, I didn't cheat. I actually
Two
just,
birds, one book.
Yeah.
Double dipped.
Yeah, I did. I did do that. But it was actually, I enjoyed the book as much as you can enjoy a story like that because it was all about experiences in the Holocaust. But the main character I did not like from the beginning.
I liked him.
I didn't like him either.
I liked him. I think I liked him because I could like separate myself from like the whole, he isn't that great of a person, and I can just realize that, he did what he thought he had to do to take care of people who he cared about. So that in my eyes was like, okay, he's not that bad. I mean, granted, he was, like I was telling Mallory that I found it comical that he was racist against black people when he was treated like crap for being Jewish.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like almost comical. I don't condone racism at all, but it was comical.
To have experiences and then do it.
Yeah. It's like, why can you not see this? Why can't you see that you're doing the same thing?
Yep.
But
I think the worst part, though, was that he, it's just him who's like this.
in that book,
Yeah.
in that book, he is the only one like that. But I've read a lot of other Holocaust stories, and there are a lot of other people who came out of the Holocaust that were like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that hoarded everything and were like, oh, well, maybe I can save this for later. I don't want to get
Oh, I
rid of
get
this.
that.
But I mean, that came out of there like that. They were bitter and, didn't want to lose anything and always like were trying to work their way around to get the best stuff, And I really think it's just, partially he was like that beforehand, but I really think the Holocaust like sent him to the extreme.
Yeah. This is one of the books, too, that's on our high school reading list. So now I feel like I'll be able to, like, recommend this one.
Yeah, I think it's a really good, and it's nice to see it in, like, a different format than just a regular book, like, to have it as the graphic novel.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to pick that one up.
Like,
It's a pretty quick
there's
read.
one scene in the book where he's talking about how they took some of I think it was the Hungarian Jews that came in, they threw them in that pit with all the other dead bodies and then poured gasoline on them and set them on fire.
Yeah.
And he said that they took the body fat from other people and threw it back on them to keep them burning.
It was horrific.
The picture that he draws with that, because everybody in there who's Jewish is a mouse.
Yeah.
Hence the name Mouse, for those who haven't read it. But it's just like almost nightmarish the way he draws it.
Yeah.
Like, he just does a really good job of it.
Anyway, I think it's an important book to read.
Yeah. I definitely suggest people reading it.
Yeah.
I mean, I suggest that with most Holocaust books, though.
Otherwise, you forget it. You don't realize what it was like. You just hear stories. And we have so many movies nowadays where it's like it can all become like make-believe. But it wasn't.
Absolutely.
I'll definitely say, as someone who's visited a Holocaust camp, it's absolutely terrifying.
Like you did.
Yeah, I went to a Holocaust camp, and they put us in a gas chamber and shut the door. And it's even knowing that, these people aren't going to kill me, I'm not going to die. Yeah. It was very uncomfortable. And I was like, I cannot wait to get out of here. So, like, to read stories from people who actually lived through that. Or not that specific thing, but, like, experienced the whole Holocaust and knew people were getting killed that way. It's just, insane.
That's what I went to Madhausen whenever I was 16, and that visit was...
Yeah, I mean, that's how old I was when I went, so.
It was definitely a day for that.
Anyways, on to lighter subjects.
Well, somewhat, anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, lighter than people dying.
Yes,
so.
right, exactly.
Difficult patrons that you encounter while working with the public. Who wants to start with that?
I feel like maybe we should just preface this with everybody has their day, and so we try really hard not to judge people or feel like it's super personal most days, but there really are just times when it's just kind of, you question, is it really me?
Yeah, we can also be having a day when said patron is having a day.
Yes.
Let me just say that too, because just because we are very patient with people and we're very understanding and we try to help them and stuff like that, sometimes you're not always in a great mood. So,
or you're sick.
Yeah. So difficult. I guess we can go over some general bad days for patrons, for ourselves, or bothersome patrons.
That works. Yeah.
Where do you want to start, do you think?
I will talk about my phone call.
All right, we'll do it.
All right, so this is honestly probably the worst experience I've had since working here, and I've been here for a year. Most patrons, I will say, are not bad. Sometimes they can be a little bothersome, but for the most part, they're not bad.
Most of them are really, really nice.
Yeah, a lot of them are incredibly nice.
Tickled to see them come in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I called this one lady to tell her she had overdue books, because when books become overdue, we print notices. And we called these people and we're like, hey, these books are overdue. I renewed them for you if we can. Mm-hmm. And then if they have a fine on their account, we're like, hey, just so you're aware, you do have a fine and this is how much. Well, I called one lady to let her know she had overdues, and she got irate with me, was personally offended that I had called to tell her she had overdues, and that I don't think I was able to renew them for her. I think they had been renewed too many times. And she was trying to prep for a storm that we were getting, and she got very mad and said that there was no way she was coming into the library to return those books, and went off on me, essentially. And after I got off the phone, after repeatedly saying, I'm just doing my job, I'm just trying to let you know, I was trying to be very polite about it. I got off the phone and went to our director, and I was like, hey, this lady just went off on me. So if you get a phone call with a complaint about me, this is why. And I had never had anybody do that to me. Mm-hmm. I was like, what did you want me to do?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you taking that call.
Yes,
I remember hearing you on the phone, and I almost knew exactly who it was, and then it was confirmed. But yeah, there are certain patrons sometimes who do somehow get really offended that books are overdue or there are fines on their account. And it's not like fines are very much, or something. It's like 10 cents.
10 cents a day for a book. Yeah.
And literally, you can bring in a can of food and wipe away all your fines.
Yeah.
So.
I had a similar call in the first year that I worked here. This is my 6th year here, going on 7th. And I had called somebody, same deal, overdues, and she had fines on her account. And I didn't realize whenever I was renewing her items that they were 2 weeks overdue. And so obviously they renewed with more fines. And she, for half an hour, yelled at me about how libraries don't work this way. I am just trying to make money off of her, to steal from her. I am lying to her. Up and down. And for half an hour, it was, ma'am, I'm so sorry. These were 2 weeks overdue. I'm not sure what you want me to do. And finally I hit my limit and I said, would you like to speak to our director? I put her on the phone with him, and about half an hour later for him at the time was the same deal. It was, I don't know, some days people just don't. And I had a couple of follow-up interactions with her as well, with not returning magazines. And, I was like, I've looked for them already, because I remembered that name. That name did not go away. And it's like, I've already looked for them. I'm so sorry, if you could just look one more time. And she, again, screamed at me and was like, I know I returned it. And about 10 minutes later, I got off the phone. And about 10 minutes after that, she calls back and she's like, I am so sorry. It's right here.
I love when that happens, when they're so irate about the fact that they've returned stuff and then they bring it in later.
Yeah.
And you're like, we don't say anything.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely
say
not.
thank you.
Yeah.
but we're like, yep.
Happens to the best
We're
of
not
us.
insane. We are not making things up.
And I will say, there are times where our scanners do not scan
That
every
is
single
true,
barcode.
yes.
It
But
happens.
we always go check.
We do, absolutely. If somebody says that they returned something, we go and check because it's easy to do. It's easy to miss because our scanner still beeps, but it doesn't always actually scan for one reason or another. And so, yeah, we always check, and that's definitely not something we take lightly. So
You guys get the phone calls. I get the more physical.
yeah.
Physical ones. And I think it's strange how some patrons react differently to different employees or different staff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they will treat some staff with the utmost patience and kindness.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody else can walk up and they're immediately mad.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lady that they're very needy on a computer. They needed a lot of help with what they were doing. Even though they did the same thing all the time, they always needed the same help. And it was an evening when Mallory and I were here by ourselves, and I had a program. So she was at the desk completely alone. And I tried to say, Mallory's not going to be able to help you much tonight because she's alone. We have a program. And she lit into me followed me around yelling at me. And I'm like, just trying to let you know. And I mean, just screamed and hollered. Told me how rude I was. And, it was like, and here I am toting boxes back and forth to get ready for the program. She's following me, yelling at me.
Yep.
It was probably 3 months later. She came in. She said, "Can I talk to you?" And I thought, oh, no. Here we go again. And I'm like, sure. So I went over to talk to her. And she's like, I'm not normally like that. I'm so embarrassed. And she went to give me a hug. And I was thinking, don't touch me because I'm still not over it. But I smiled and it's okay. We all have our bad days.
Yeah.
But it's. I think we are a safe place to vent when they're having a bad day.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because we hear a lot of personal stuff from patrons.
A lot.
Like they'll come in and be like, "I need this printed out," and then give you a complete rundown as to why they need that printed out and what is going on in their lives. Which I love. I love to hear all that stuff.
I do too.
But I definitely agree that I think people feel like it's okay.
And we should be that safe place.
Yes.
I mean, that's our whole goal is to be that safe place, to give people a place to feel safe and secure and maybe not yell as much, but safe and secure. And that we care because we do. We do care about the community and we do care about what's going on in people's lives. And we try to help them. But there's times. I mean, I had a woman throw money at me one time because I had to charge her 10 cents a copy. This has been years ago.
Oh, yeah.
She was mad because it was 10 cents a copy.
That's nothing, though.
No, it's I was not as professional at that time. Because I took her money, and she had change coming back. So instead of handing it to her, I slammed it down on the counter in front of her. There's your quarter. Which was that's not the thing to do. It's not.
No. It's one of those things I would
didn't
love
throw it
to
at
react
her.
like that sometimes.
And
oh my gosh, yes.
So that's not a good thing. Don't slam. But I didn't throw it at her, and I didn't, touch her or hit her or anything. I just smacked it down on the counter with my hand over it and slid it over to her.
Yeah.
But don't do that.
No.
That's funny.
Yeah. Oh, she yelled at me about that too. Zach's dying.
And I'll tell you,
it is pretty funny.
The amount of people after we moved the prints up from 10 cents to 25 cents.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. I mean, it was probably 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
We had people coming in. Well, it used to be 10 cents. Well, that changed in 2017, as says the sign right next to your face when you're printing. But okay.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of signs, that's something that drives me crazy.
Nobody reads.
Nobody.
I don't read.
And I've done the same thing. I get it. You look at a sign and you think you know everything, so you don't read it in detail. But I don't know how many people come up and will ask us stuff that they literally walk right beside. Or when they try to come in on Fridays, because we don't open to the public until 11 on Fridays. And that's been like that for a couple years now.
It's been a long time.
It's been a while. And people still try to, like, they pull the door and they look around and then they continue to try to pull the door.
They pound on the door. Yeah.
We have, like, a giant, like, 2 by 3 foot sign.
I think it's
hanging
bigger
up.
than that. It's like 4 by 5 or something
Okay,
like that. Yeah.
This says that we don't open till 11 and nobody looks at it.
I can't say much to people about that. I went to a library conference or a meeting. It wasn't a conference. It was a meeting at a different library. And instead of reading the sign I had to walk around to get to the front desk. I walk around the sign and ask where the meeting's at. And they told me they were polite, but I know they had this kind of funny look, and I'm thinking, and as I went back past, I saw the sign. I was like, oh my God, I'm one of those patrons. Because I hadn't. But you just don't read. You just kind of learn to expect it. Because, I mean, nobody does it.
It just cracks me up every single time. I'm like, what are you doing?
It's right there, guys.
Their mind is somewhere else.
Yeah. And I get that. I mean, there's times she's posted a story time thing, and I'll message her. I'm like, when is this? And she'll tell me, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm an idiot. It's on your flyer. And she just laughs at me. And I'm like, just ignore me. I'm dumb.
You just don't read. You're so expect to see stuff or not to see stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's somebody there to ask, so it's easier to ask than it is to read.
Yes.
And I know you always put the stuff, and I just couldn't, like, my eyes just could not find it. And I was like, okay.
And there are definitely days. Yeah. Sometimes, even whenever I used to do the newsletter and had to write down everybody's dates and times for everything, people would come in and be like, hey, when is this? And I'd be like, no idea.
People do that to me too. They're like, when is this? And because I've made the newsletter, I guess people expect me to know. And I'm like, it's a good question. Well, let me look for you because I don't know.
That left my mind as soon as I hit print.
Yeah. It's like, I am so bad about that too. Like, funny experience that's, not necessarily a patron thing, but the other day we had somebody call to schedule a meeting room and then somebody else call to schedule a meeting room for the same group. Yeah. And I told our coworker, Amy, I was like, hey, so-and-so's on the phone for this group also. And she's like, what's their name? So I can tell them, this person's calling. And I was like, Tabitha? And I was so convinced their name was Tabitha. It was not Tabitha. Their name was Katie. But where I got Tabitha from, not a clue. Like, and she told me her name when she called. And I was just like,
yep.
Tabitha. It's Tabitha.
Absolutely.
I was convinced.
Crazy things.
It's just like, I don't know. I guess from where I hear names all day long with, people like, hey, this is so-and-so. Can you read my books? Or, hey, this is so-and-so. Can I request this? I hear it for a second. And unless I'm having to type in their name, I'm just like, okay, cool.
Names kill me anymore. I mean, I am not a spelling bee winner speller to begin with. But do you know how many ways you can spell a name anymore? I don't even try to spell anything. I'm like, okay, how do you spell that?
Yep.
Because
I do that because I'm like, or I'll type it in. I'll be like, is it spelled like this? And I'll spell it out for them,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely more of a face person than I am a name. But once I learn a name, like, I'll know them no matter what. But there are definitely, I meant to say this earlier whenever we were talking about how patrons tell us everything. A lot of people laugh at me whenever I say this, but I have worked as a bartender and I work in a library, and it is so much the same work. It is so similar. The only thing that's different is we hand out books instead of drinks. and that's it. I mean, like, everything here is pretty much free, but we get the same stories. We get we're the same therapy. We're the same, like, kind of safe place where people come to be, like, welcome and invited and feel like they're okay here. And it's definitely, it's very funny because you hear so much all day, every day. And somebody comes in, you haven't seen them for a couple of months, and they remember you, and you are like, oh yeah, I remember now, once they get refreshed.
Yeah. We had a teen come in who was Carla's teens. Mm-hmm. Like, I took over the teens when I started here. So it was someone from her group, and he came in and he remembered me because, I was in the library all the time before I worked here volunteering. And he talked to me for a good hour and a half. And he left, and I went out into the main library, and I was like, okay, what was this child's name? It's like, because I cannot remember. Like, I knew who he was and I knew how I knew him, but I could not remember his name.
Yeah.
There's funny stories of people seeing you outside the library, too.
Oh, yeah.
I hadn't worked here maybe 3 or 4 years. And it was still when I was kind of involved with 4-H stuff and the fair and stuff like that. And I had been asked to judge one of the project areas. So I showed up that day just to judge. And I was really hoping it was the bakery so I could like taste the stuff. Well, I didn't get that one that time. It was working, but that's what I was hoping for. But as I walked in the gate, this little girl ran up to me. She's like, I swear, we're bringing back our library books next week. And I'm thinking, honey, I am not hunting you down.
It's a new thing, guys. We're hunting people down for books.
It's like, it's okay. You're good.
We
good.
are the reading room ruffians.
And I had a lady one time at Kroger's to come up to me, and she was like, oh, I finally figured this, I can't even remember what it is now, out. She had been in here a couple days before trying to come up with a title or something like that, and then she was wanting to find.
Yeah.
And so it was one of the ones I couldn't get, like, it's blue and the author had brown hair. One of those deals. It's like, sorry. But, and she came up in Kroger's, and she's like, I really thank you for your help. And she talked for probably 10 minutes before I remembered what she was talking about. And I was like trying to fake my way through this conversation.
Yeah.
Wow.
You gotta love people. They're just, but
yeah, I mean,
they make a big impression on them.
Yes.
It makes a big impression on the community. And it's a good thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, I was excited when I had my toddler story time and somebody called to sign up and they were like, he loved her last time and we wanted to make sure that we were in this one. And I was like, my heart.
Yes. Yeah.
That's pretty cute.
I love that little boy too. He is so much fun.
It is so
like
rewarding.
it just. Oh, I love it.
It's like two of the kids that come to my science nights and my story times. I'm actually friends. I grew up with their mom, and so that's extra special for me too. But they adore me. I don't know why. I guess I'm fun. It's fine. But they call it Miss Mallory's library, and I live here.
Yeah.
Miss Mallory, where do you sleep? I sleep at home. This is your home. No, it's not. I mean, it feels like it sometimes, but it's not.
We live here. We've already talked about having a sleepover.
My grandson is pretty sure that this is my house.
Yeah, he goes, we go to the library, and I'm like, yeah, we're going to go to the library. He's like, Masha's home? And I'm like, yep. Sure is.
Pretty much.
Which is it's so funny because your house is Ron's house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is essentially his grandfather, And then there's Mommy's house. So Mommy's house, Maja's house, and Ron's house.
Yeah.
He's so funny.
I love it.
So any comments before we wrap up then?
I was going to say, there's one thing. Since obviously I am not a librarian, I don't get to deal with this stuff. It sounds miserable sometimes. I still have to deal with dumb people, but usually they have to be polite to me, which is nice, because otherwise, HR, I'm a software engineer.
I was going to say, you might want to tell people where you work.
Sorry, yeah. Hello, everyone. I work at Microsoft, which is totally me using my degree, which is in physics, and I don't use it at all. And you know what's the worst part? Like, I get here, and there's a bunch of people who are like, let's just say maybe 8 to 10 years younger than me. They're all making about the same as me, and it's very frustrating. Because I was like, man, I just wasted all the time in college, it feels like sometimes.
Says him who makes what we make in a year in like a week.
It's not quite that bad. It's not great, but it's not quite that bad. It takes me a couple months. But also... But also, my rent is more than your paycheck, so for the entire month, so it's ridiculous.
That's true.
It goes away pretty quickly. Anyway, though, no, what I was going to say is that because you guys are at the library, people will come up to me when I am visiting and talk to me like they know me, and I have no idea who any of these people are, but they know me. It's happened for years.
There's people who come in and they're like, how's your brother doing? Mm-hmm. Or they'll ask, Carla, how's your son?
That would mostly be Trevor's grandparents, the ones you helped with emails that time.
Yeah.
They still...
Oh.
Yeah, that was like 15 years ago.
I know.
Still, yeah.
Every time.
Yep.
But yeah, it's all kinds of random people.
So you're still a thing here. You just don't realize
Yeah,
it.
they ask me a lot, where's your brother now? And I'm like, he's in Washington State. And they're like, oh, what's he doing? I was like, working for Microsoft. And then they go on about how you're so smart and so nice. And I'm thinking, if you only knew.
To be fair, I am very nice to other people.
As a sibling, I understand that very well. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just a different relationship there, you know?
And I don't think I would trade this job for another one.
I don't think I would
wouldn't.
either.
I worked 16 years to get a job here. Okay. So, like, no. We're staying. For everybody else, just so you're aware, I volunteered here from the time I was 16 up until when I was like 30.
Probably, yeah.
All the time. Every program. My mom started working here when I was 15, 16 years old, and I would walk to the library from the high school after school every single day. And I would start helping, with programs, and I helped catalog books, or not catalog, I deleted books is what I did. And then, I was part of the original teen group.
Actually, you were the original teen group because I was told I had to start a teen group, and thank goodness, I had teens and she had friends.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So, and we were awesome, and we came up with a great name, and it was great.
And it's still going on.
Yeah, It's still going on, and I run it now, so
Yay.
come full circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely would not trade this job for any other job. I've worked in a factory. I've worked fast food. I've worked, department store type deal. This is
the best.
The best. Absolutely.
It really
hands down. I love it when little kids come in. They're like, I want to work at the library when I grow up. And I'm like, it's the best job.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
I'm glad you guys like it. I hate my job. It's awful.
You should move back and become a librarian.
No thanks.
I can help you with the schooling now that's...
You could become our tech person.
Yeah.
It seems like you kind of need one. Maybe we could set up your Wi-Fi for you then, finally. Sheesh.
Yeah, there we go.
I don't know if we're ever going to get that. We've been on a list for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
Plug in the new one. Just don't even tell them.
Well, I asked if I could do that.
And they said
no.
no?
They said, no, there's all kinds of things we have to change and set up. And
Did they do Ravenswood? Jacob says that they did Ravenswood.
No, they
Ravenswood,
did Point Pleasant.
Ravenswood. Jacob says that Ravenswood has theirs, uses theirs. Do they?
They can't.
That's what I didn't know. I was like, I don't think so, Jacob.
That's for forgiveness, not permission, guys. Just do it.
I kind of feel like that way too.
Well, until Scott comes in again.
Turn your head. We will make
I don't know what's going on.
Wi-Fi magically work.
When he comes in, plug in the old one. Pretend like nothing happened.
You didn't see anything.
He made it sound like there's something he has to do with the T1 line that they have coming in.
Probably.
But,
Maybe we should just plug it in and be like, there you go. You can do it now.
Yep. It's ready
You're
for
here.
you.
I thought about just getting, like Frontier Unlimited Wireless and sticking things all over the library.
Yeah.
I don't know, something.
I think that wraps us up for today. Next week, we are going to be discussing we're going to be doing some book highlights from each of us. So get some ready, Zach. We will be doing what we're reading, what we've read recently, and recommendations as well.
I'm ready for that, man.
Me too.
Man, all I've been reading is booty books. It's the worst.
That definitely makes it sound like all you've been
It
doing
really
is
does.
smut.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of smut. No, the only smut I read was from your guys' book club, and it was terrible.
Hey,
Yeah, it was
well,
bad. That was a
one-
bad book, and we
was
did
one
not
book.
choose that. That was somebody else.
I'm going to highlight that one until nobody read it.
I'll allow it.
Well, I had to read a award-winning book this time for my class, so I'll talk about that one.
All right.
Stay
All
tuned.
right, everybody. We
Yes.
are going to sign off. Thank you for listening to the Reading Room Ruffians once again. And remember, only the best libraries have librarians who do not shush you. I just
perfect.
want to punch my
Flawless. Flawless.
Nailed it.
I'm putting that in there.
This will be playing as our music goes.